elite warriors and legends of their time, who in addition to mastering the art of shooting at long distances, had to master advanced techniques of survival and camouflage, but also the most difficult, control their own emotions. In certain situations, a sniper needs to stay still for days, dealing with boredom, tiredness, and the terrible pressure of not being allowed to miss, while having to focus on variables like wind speed, angle, distance, and also not dying. Hello and welcome to Warfare Today. In this episode, I'll show 4 of the deadliest snipers ever. Please note that I'm listing, not ranking. So the order of appearance doesn't mean a shooter is better than the other, okay? If you were a Viet Cong soldier patrolling the jungles, what would you consider more deadly? A venomous viper, a tiger, a bear, or a white guy wearing a white feather on his bush hat? Well, statistically speaking, you would have better chances against the beasts. Carlos Hathcock was an American who fought in the Vietnam War and had 93 confirmed kills throughout his career as a Marine. But the unconfirmed kills could be more than 400. Mainly because it's hard to confirm a kill when the target is 200 meters inside the enemy lines. His weapon was the Winchester Model 70 rifle, which has some impressive feats of it. With a shot worthy of a Hollywood production, Hathcock took down a Viet Cong sniper at 457 meters. The shot went through the enemy's scope and hit him in the eye. Simply epic. Another feat was to eliminate the sniper and torturer known as the Apache. Among the many snipers sent to kill Sergeant Hathcock, she was by far the most dangerous. The bounties that North Vietnam placed on Americans' heads ranged from $2,000 to $8,000. But Carlos was special. He caused so much pain they put a $30,000 bounty on his head. But despite enemy efforts, the Marine left that country alive and well and lived until 1999, when he died at home in Virginia. Sergeant Hathcock left the Marine Corps in 1975, but continued to serve there as an instructor. He served his country with distinction, received many honors, including the Silver Star, and is still one of the greatest American snipers to the day. But Sergeant Hathcock's skills weren't born in the Navy. He's been shooting from a young age and has been a multi-tournament champion, just like the next legend on the list. In 1941, when the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union, Stalin summoned the entire nation to fight. Using these volunteers, the Red Army trained a troop of 2,000 female snipers, and our protagonist is the most lethal among them. Like Sergeant Hathcock, Major Ludmila Pavlichenko was a sports shooting champion during her youth. The young Ukrainian sniper had the opportunity to serve as a nurse, but like all those with warrior blood, she declined and chose to serve on the war front. She became famous for eliminating 309 German soldiers using her SVT-40 semi-automatic rifle, 36 of them snipers. Unconfirmed deaths exceed 500. These impressive numbers give Pavlichenko the title of greatest female sniper ever. In 1942, she was hit by a mortar and received severe damage, but survived and managed to get back into action after a long recovery period. Among her many honors, Major Pavlichenko received the title of the Heroine of the USSR and was the first Soviet citizen to be received at the White House by President Roosevelt. Ludmila never fought at the front again, but continued in military service and devoted herself to training new snipers for the Red Army. After the war, she finished her studies at Kiev University and began a career as a historian. She died in 1974 at the age of 58. And since we're talking about Soviet snipers, it's time to talk about the man who inspired the movie Enemy at the Gates. Our setting remains the Soviet Union, but now the location is the city of Stalingrad, the site of one of the most important battles of that war. Vasily Zaitsev was a shepherd who learned to shoot from his grandfather when he was 5 years old. His ability was discovered by the Red Army after an officer witnessed him take down a German soldier from 100 meters away with an unscoped rifle. Since then, he eliminated 468 confirmed targets during his entire career, 242 in Stalingrad only. The most famous story about this soldier was his legendary duel with the German sniper Erwin Koenig that took place in the ruins of Stalingrad and lasted 3 days. After having eliminated more than 100 enemies, the Germans decided to send Koenig with the only mission of putting the Soviet down. Historians have never found evidence of this duel or the existence of Erwin Koenig outside of Soviet records. That's why many claim this story is nothing more than USSR propaganda. As I said, this story was portrayed in the movie Enemy at the Gates, and it's worth checking out. The Soviet, on the other hand, was very real. Zaitsev also worked as a shooting instructor until he was blinded by a mortar. He died in 1991 at age 76 in Ukraine and was also awarded the title of Hero of the USSR. All these snipers are considered heroes in their countries. But the hero of one nation is always the villain of another, and the next one on the list is especially hated by Americans. Juba is not his true name, but the nickname given by the occupying forces. He was a member of the Iraqi resistance, fighting the U.S. occupation of that country. By all accounts, he took out 143 targets during the war. This guy was also famous for his recordings. Juba liked to film all his kills of American soldiers and post them on the internet. A good way to become famous and demoralize the enemy. Armed with a Soviet Dragunov rifle, he became a legend among the Iraqi resistance and a terror to American soldiers. Juba posted his last footage in 2008, and since then, no one heard from him again. This video is the first part of my sniper playlist. In the next video, we will talk about another legendary figures who made history with their rifles and skills. We'll talk about shooters from other times like the terrible White Death, as well as more current heroes like the legendary Chris Kyle. Now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments which of these shooters you found most impressive. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.